Roberto Carlos da Silva Rocha was born in Garça, a small town in the city of São Paulo, in 1973, into an economically poor family. His parents are his father Oscar da Silva and mother Vera Lucia da Silva, who worked in a coffee plantation to live. His story intertwines with the cheerful voices and vibrant sounds of the streets, where the ball becomes the protagonist of a harmonious symphony, dreaming of becoming a professional footballer. From a young age, Roberto Carlos was forced to confront this harsh reality, finding work in a textile factory called Torçao Cardeiro at the age of just 12. His family needed money to put food on the table, and his football dreams occupied only a small corner of young Roberto Carlos' daily routine. A boy from the beginning attached to today, neither to the after nor to tomorrow, focused on the moment he touches the ball, on the happiness that then happens, we can say, a naive mind from this point of view. He began his football career when a scout from Atlético Mineiro notices him and makes him enter the youth sector of União São João at the age of 15, where he demonstrates all his potential developed on the paved streets. At 18, he went on loan to Atlético Mineiro, playing only a few games and then probably being rejected due to his physical structure. 2 years later, at the age of 20, Palmeiras bought him for $500,000, where he won the Brazilian Serie A and the Paulista Championship for 2 consecutive editions, as well as a small championship played between all the teams belonging to the city of São Paulo, such as Botafogo, Santos, etc., and is also called up to the Brazilian national soccer team for the first time. In these 2 years, Roberto Carlos acquires fame throughout Brazil thanks to his talent and thanks to his supernatural shooting that we all know is nicknamed El Hombre Bala, the Bullet Man. In fact, even the big European teams cast an eye on him. The new Inter president Massimo Moratti decides to buy him for $7 million together with Javier Zanetti, of whom we all know the story he made. To reinforce the external department, let's say that Massimo saw it well. His debut with the Nerazzurri was a dream. He scored the decisive goal from a free kick against Vicenza to make it 1-0 and scored 4 goals in 4 games, absurd numbers for a quarterback. However, Inter in that season prepared to win the Champions League had a disastrous season, changing 2 coaches in the current season, finishing in 7th place in the league standings. At the end of the season, the manager Roy Hodgson rejected him because he considered him a tactically undisciplined player, so he immediately sent him to the transfer list. Roberto Carlos scores 7 goals in 34 appearances. In 1996, Fabio Capello's Galacticos immediately noticed this young jewel rejected by the Nerazzurri in the market, immediately bringing him to Madrid, assigning him the number 3. Surely the purchase was also influenced by the footballer's region of origin, given the football philosophy it offers and all the champions baked. Romanticism towards South American players that also occurs today. See the various Rodrigos, Vinicius, Endrick, etc. During his first season Blanca, the impact of him was evident from the beginning. With his explosive speed down the left flank and his dribbling prowess, Roberto Carlos became a constant danger to opposition defenses. His presence on the pitch offered a new dimension to Real Madrid's attack. He was a non-stop train that went back and forth down the left wing for 90 minutes. And therefore he was a central pillar of that Real Madrid immovable player. In the first year he won La Liga. A few years later, we'll be joined by the signings of high-caliber players such as Zidane, Figo, Beckham and Ronaldo, creating an iconic Real Madrid, one of the strongest squads in the history of football. The most important moment in the Blancos is probably the Champions League final against Bayer Leverkusen, where he contributed to the victory of the Big Ears Cup with an action born from a throw-in by him where Raul signed the advantage and for the assist made to Zizzo to close the game at 2-1. He played for the club for 11 years, playing 527 games and scoring 69 goals. A role that, also helped by his compatriot Cafu, he will be able to re-establish at the turn of the 90s and 2000s, clearing the era of fast full-backs, technicians as midfielders and with ballistic skills worthy of top-class points. Roberto Carlos' farewell is due to shameful criticism from some Real Madrid fans who, due to an error in the first minutes of the game against Bayern Munich which cost a goal from Mackay which led to elimination from the Champions League. I've given a lot to Real and I don't deserve certain criticisms. I've decided, I'm leaving. So he waited for the summer for the expiry of the contract to change the air as soon as possible. Roberto Carlos' adventure with the Brazilian national team is a triumph. The young left-back made his debut for the Seleção at the age of just 18 on February 26, 1992, in a friendly match against the United States in Fortaleza, in a 3-0 win. After being eliminated in the quarter-finals of the 1993 Copa America against Argentina, lost 7-6 on penalties in the Superclásico. Roberto Carlos was excluded from the squads for a year and a half and lost the chance to participate in the 1994 World Cup in the United States of America. However, Roberto Carlos returned to wear the Brazilian national team in May 1995, under the guidance of coach Mario Zagallo. Together with champions such as Ronaldo, O Fenomeno, Cafu, Rivaldo, and later Ronaldinho, he wrote indelible pages in the history of world football. With the Seleção under-23, in 1996, the talented fullback won the bronze medal at the Atlanta Olympics. Then, with the senior national team, he dominated in 2 successive editions of the Copa America, 1997 and 1999. On June 3, 1997, at the Toulon tournament against France, Roberto Carlos executed what is still considered the perfect free kick today. A curling shot with his 3 fingers from over 30 meters at a speed of 137 kilometers per hour. Now, the ball seems destined to go out but curve at the last moment, overtaking a bewildered Barthez. This incredible shot of ballistic precision will remain in football history forever, simply the perfect shot. Fun fact: a few years later, even a team of scientists began to carry out analyses to understand with what secret the ball made that trajectory. His career in the Brazilian national team continues in the 1998 World Cup in France, which was not lucky for the green and gold. Thanks to Ronaldo's non-optimal conditions, Brazil lost the final against the hosts France. Before the final, I was the first to notice Ronaldo's crisis in the hotel bed, Roberto Carlos revealed to La Gazzetta dello Sport. For me, it looked like an epileptic attack. I'm still afraid. He was shaking. He was stiff, blocked. He didn't have the physical conditions to play, but we had half an hour to decide. And Ronaldo in Brazil is like a god. He had to be present. However, Roberto Carlos and his teammates made up for it in 2002 in Korea and Japan, triumphing in the final against Germany with a 2-0 result. This success underlines the strong bond between the players, who consider themselves like family under the guidance of Luis Felipe Scolari. In that year he also finished second in the Ballon d'Or, behind only his compatriot Ronaldo. Finally, on the 1st of July 2006, the narrow defeat against France also marked Roberto Carlos' last game with the Brazil shirt. With 125 appearances and 11 goals in official competitions, he is still the second most present player ever in the Seleção, behind only Cafu. On the 19th of June 2007, keeping his word, Roberto Carlos left Real Madrid and joined Fenerbahce in Turkey, after signing a 2-year contract that could be extended by another year. On August 25, 2007, he scored his first goal for Fenerbahce with a diving header in a league match against Sivasspor. This diving header goal against Sivasspor was only the third header goal of his career. Moving to Fenerbahce from Madrid was a significant turning point in Roberto Carlos' biography. Later in the season, he suffered an injury during the final period, causing him to miss the title race between Fenerbahce and their rivals, Galatasaray. Despite his absence, Fenerbahce ultimately lost the title race but secured a guaranteed place in the Champions League. Roberto Carlos expressed his dissatisfaction with the final result and vowed to do his best to bring the domestic trophy back to the Shukru Sarıkolu Stadium. On October 7, 2009, Roberto Carlos announced that he would leave Fenerbahce when his contract expired in December 2009. He also offered to return to Real Madrid and play for free. Although a return to the Brazilian domestic leagues was a possibility, he officially announced his departure on November 25. He made his final appearance for Fenerbahce on December 17 as a late substitute against Sheriff Tiraspol in the UEFA Europa League. Roberto Carlos made his return to his home country in 2010, signing with Corinthians after being away from Brazil for 15 years. He reunited with his friend and former teammate Ronaldo on the team. During his time at Corinthians, Roberto Carlos scored a crucial goal against Internacional, contributing to their rise to the top of the table in the Campeonato Brasileiro Série A. One of his notable achievements was scoring an impressive goal directly from a corner kick against Portuguesa on January 16, 2011. Unfortunately, Roberto Carlos faced threats from fans following Corinthians' defeat to the Colombian club Tolima in the Copa Libertadores de América. In light of the situation, Roberto Carlos requested to be released from the club, a request which Corinthians promptly facilitated. Is February 2011, and Roberto Carlos still has a strong desire to play, though his impressive performances were over. Russian magnate Karamov offers him a dream contract, a 2.5-year deal worth €9 million per season with Anji Makhachkala. Karamov had the dream of working with me and offered me that incredible contract, Roberto Carlos would later recount. He is a person like us, but if you go to his house and ring the doorbell, 15 bodyguards will answer. It's dangerous there. Despite significant investments, the results achieved by the Russian team are modest. After Gagiev's dismissal, Roberto Carlos briefly takes on the role of assistant coach under Gordiev while continuing to play. A slightly unusual and partly ugly end, but in the end, we don't care. He ends his career as footballer at 42 in Delhi Dynamos, where he plays only 3 games and then definitely hangs up his boots. Simply an amazing career.